This is recording. The camera is still following. The light that I usually see when I use the remote is not flashing. I had to get off like 3 times. I checked it. It appears to start recording, but it's not telling me it's recording, so I hope this is working. So what I wanted to share was a quick little hack as a rider. Learning to feel the aspect of rotation in our horses, because it's not part of traditional training at all. There's a way I work with riders that helps with 2 things. One, it can really sensitize the rider's seat to sort of feeling when the back is rolling like that or like that. And for women who tend to get really tight and curvy in the lumbar like that, this little strategy is super helpful. So you're going to need a whip because you're going to take your legs out of the equation. And basically what you're going to do is bring your knees all the way up and rest them on the front of the saddle. You can do this in an English or Western saddle. Just get your knees as high as is comfortable. And then you're going to have a little bit of short rein, and you're going to take a hold of the mane. So your hands are touching the neck. And if you get a little unstable, you can grab mane, and you can sort of, if your hand, you don't want to be way up here, it'll pull you forward. But if you're just in front of the withers, you can kind of use your hands pushing forward to get your butt back a little bit. So the point of doing this, and it doesn't take long, and it's surprisingly comfortable and it's surprisingly secure. So your legs are just out of the equation. And what you feel is every little change in the saddle, left to right. So if the horse is getting tight through the back muscles on the right, it's going to kind of throw you to the left, or vice versa. And that's related to the spinal function of rotation, which is part of helping our horses get straight, or what I call internally straight. So just even, 5 or 10 minutes of riding around with your legs up here, you feel almost instantly like it really takes away our ability to brace in the stirrups or grip with the legs. And if you have a very tight low back, that's the reason I did it a lot. This felt really good to sort of help me find the core muscles that stabilize my pelvis and really release the tightness here through the lumbar. And the horse might stop a lot, especially if he's not one to go forward. But it helps with our accuracy of really keeping our pelvis and our body level on a horse that isn't straight, on a horse that has a rotation issue, which I gotta say, I've never sat on one yet that didn't. So all horses are crooked or unlevel through the back and the pelvis to some degree. And it's just not part of classical training. It's not really addressed. So what happens is we end up losing our balance through our seat because we're told to keep our weight even. But you would never keep your weight even on a horse that's not level, right? So then we end up gripping with one leg, or having to shorten one stirrup because the other one is always short, one's always long. And just by bringing your legs up like this and riding around for a few minutes, you really start to feel all of the tilting aspect left to right that's going on under the saddle. And like I said, it's surprisingly secure and comfortable. And if most female riders get super tight back here in the lumbar from always arching, especially if you've been trained with shoulders back. And so this is just a way you can even lean on your hands. You can grab mane if you're not stable. Really, Hercules? I know, just cooperate. And just kind of find how to gently shift your weight so that what you're really doing is resisting your seat without gripping with your legs. You're resisting your seat getting thrown left or right. And it may be a big eye-opener to realize how often that goes on and how fast it can change side to side, or how dramatic it can be with horses stuck on one side, always throwing you the opposite way. And Hercules' biggest issue was sort of getting that alignment and rotation of the spine really back to what it should be. And so feeling his back, especially the closer he gets to balance, those imbalances are more subtle, more unpredictable, and they can change without notice, right? So we're having to feel every stride. What they're doing with their back and pelvis is what we feel through our seat. Not as much our legs, it's really our seat, right? So if we get unseated by the horse, then our body weight makes their crookedness worse. If we can stay level while they go crooked, that's how we address that specific function of rotation when we're riding. So hopefully this recorded. That was just a quick one, but man, that feels good on my back. And then the other way to do it is once you do put your legs down, maybe ride a little bit without stirrups. See if you can find that same feeling with your legs out of the equation and just let your legs dangle. So you're really operating through your pelvis and lumbar, and you can go between no stirrups and back into what I call jockey position, because you got your legs right up there. You're just not off the saddle. You've got your seat in the saddle, because the whole point of it is to really sensitize your body to how unlevel our horses' backs can be. And then you can kind of just drop your legs, transfer that to a more upright position. But with your hands here, it's very secure. You don't need a rein contact. You do need a horse you can kind of trust. Or if you don't trust your horse entirely, if it makes you a little fearful to do that, a lot of times in a lesson or clinic, I'll lead the horse from the ground while somebody can just play with that in the saddle. Because if it's too fearful, if we get too fearful, it doesn't work. So you have to feel secure enough to even take your legs out of the stirrup. Then having somebody who stands by the horse's head or leads the horse around, that can sort of bridge the gap. And like I said, everybody is kind of surprised at how comfortable and how stable this position is. It's actually incredibly stable because everybody figures out very quickly how to shift weight. Otherwise, up here, you can't grip with your legs. If you don't shift your weight, you would go off. I know, you're a good boy, Hercules. Thanks for giving everybody that lesson.